Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Family Mind Inc. podcast. This is your boy Simbawi Nibaye Jr., aka TK, along with my man Omar Williams. Say what's up to the
What's
peeps.
going on? What's going on, good people?
It's another lovely Wednesday, and y'all know how we do. We jump right in and get things popping from the get-go, from the start. But before we do that, we're going to jump into our affirmations. You know, it's Affirmation Wednesday. We do this every single solitary week since we started, I believe, sometime last year, I believe. So if you have your affirmations or you got to memorize or whatever you want to do, let's knock this out and get this podcast going. Are you ready? Here we go. Today will be a good day. Today will be a great day. Today will be an awesome day. Today will be an amazing day. Today will be a phenomenal day. Today will be stress-free. Today will be a stressless day. Today, I will overcome all barriers that want to block my progress. Today, all circumstances, issues, and situations will work in my favor. Today, all things will line up for my good. I will become better than who and what I was yesterday. I am a go-getter. I am victorious. I am triumphant. I am an overcomer. I never lose. Either I win or I learn. I take authority over this day. I will dominate this day. I will conquer this day. And everything I have spoken into this day will happen as I have affirmed, because I am more than a conqueror. Let's get it popping. So today we're talking about being a finisher. Being a finisher. Let's real quick go through the definition of the word finish, or if you want to say finishing, finisher, to finish, the word finish. I'm making it plain and simple. I'm not going to like the Webster's Dictionary and all that. I'm making it plain and simple. To finish means to bring to completion. To bring to completion. From start to finish. From the time you begin to the time you end. Point A to point B. Or point A to point Z. You might have some other destinations in between there or something that happen, however you want to call it, from start to finish. So finishing is something that a lot of people struggle with. And why is that? Well, we got distractions. We've got losing focus, lack of commitment and dedication. For instance, a child is born. That's going to put a monkey wrench in anybody's life. Agree? Someone passing away, another thing that can throw a monkey wrench into someone's life. Sickness or health issues, another one. Opposition, intimidation. Plain and simple, life happens. It does. And these aren't necessarily excuses. They're very valid reasons to things that happen in our lives that we necessarily can't control. But I want to show you guys who are looking at the video, those of you who are getting the replay of this or getting the audio of this, you can't see this, but I want to show this to you guys. I'm going to stand up real quick. You can see my shirt. It says, no matter what place you're in, finish. No matter what place you're in, finish. And of course, that can be, you can get that on our website at friendofmineinc.com on our apparel store. That's one of our brand tees that we have. We have it in the hoodie, we have it in long sleeve, and we have it in t-shirt sizes. And we also even have women's cut tees as well, white and black. So check that out. You guys get a chance. But we're talking about finishing today. So I figured wearing this shirt was going to be appropriate to wear today. No matter what place you're in, finish. And notice how anyone in a race, whether it's, a car race or people who are running in a race, they always finish the race. Like no matter what place they're in, they always finish the race. Unless someone gets like seriously hurt or injured where they can't finish the race, and sometimes people who get hurt or injured, others will go back and help that person and help them finish the race. That's a whole other subject right there, but I'm just saying.
For sure.
That happens as well.
Yeah.
So why is that? Why is it that people, no matter what place they're in, finish the race? Well, plain and simple. Because finishing brings about completion to what it is you're doing. Again, if you're taking notes on your iPad, your notebook, tablet, whatever you have, finishing brings about completion to what it is you are doing. If you don't finish, you begin to start developing a habit of not being a finisher. And how is that? I'm going to say that again. If you don't finish things, you begin to start developing a habit of not being a finisher. And how is that? Well, we begin talking down to ourselves. Ah, man, I knew I couldn't do it. Oh, man, how come I couldn't finish? Or, man, I don't think I'm built for this. Others begin to feed that negativity that you talk to yourself, and they start feeding into that. This is why it's important to have the right people around you in your inner circle. And need I say, even your outer circle. Because you don't want the outer circle to infect the inner circle. We never really hear about that. We always hear about the inner circle. Like, your inner circle has to be tight. It's got to be this and that. But your outer circle needs to also be the right people because they can infect the inner circle. I'm going to say this. I'm going to let O go. If you ever see a fruit where there's a seed in the middle of that fruit, if the outer part of that fruit is bad, the entire fruit is bad. You can't eat it. It's not good for you to eat. It's rotten. It's not good. So if your outer circle has bad people in it, it's going to infect your inner circle and ultimately infect your outcome. Oh, what you got?
Yeah, man. This reminds me of way back when I was about maybe 8-9 years old playing for Little League, and it was my first ever experience. It was Little League football. My first ever experience of wanting to quit something. Right. So I remember coming home from practice, and I was like, Mom, they not letting me play. I'm not good enough, blah, blah, blah. She's like, whatever you do, we don't quit. And like that stuck with me for a while. Like that stuck with me throughout my days of playing and even different things. It's like just finish it. Even if it's the last season you play, finish the season. I mean, you have to keep playing football, but finish this season that you started.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's key, man. There's a quick example and we'll move on. But there are people who will decide they want to move on from their job they have. And they might put in their 2 weeks notice, or they might decide that they want to, say, hey, in 2 months from now, I'm going to release, depending on what your position is and how how important you are in your position. But either way, you make a decision, you want to leave this job to go to another job, different job, or whatever you want to do, start your own company, whatever. And you say, hey, I'm going to leave on this day. This is going to be my last day. And the week that you are planning on leaving that last day, say it's Monday and your last week is that week, Monday to Friday. And you decide you're going to call out all that week. All that week you call out. But your last day is supposed to be that Friday coming up. To a degree, you've already quit.
You quit. Yeah.
You've already quit. But you said this Friday could be my last day. It's in writing. You talked about it. You know it. But you chose to quit 5 days ahead. Not only did you choose to quit, you actually called in and said, hey, I'm not coming in today for the next 5 days. You did it every single day. Because in your mind, you had already quit. But your commitment was to finish before you left.
Right.
Just saying. Another quick example. So we said we begin talking down to ourselves, and then others begin to feed into that negativity because you give off to others what it is that you do. If you want to give off negativity, you're going to get that back. Having the right people around you and in your circle and in your outer circle. You'll begin to give excuses why and how you can't instead of why and how you can. I'll say it again. You'll begin to give excuses why and how you can't instead of why and how you can. We also begin to lose focus on what's important or our goals. We said before in the podcast before that focus from one of my mentors at the Breakthrough. He said, firmly on course until successful. And we lose that focus because of what's going on presently in our lives or whatever has happened to get us to that point. We begin to lose focus on what's important. We also begin developing a lack of commitment and dedication because then it becomes, well, what's the point? What's the point of doing it? What's the point of finishing? What's the point of me trying to get this done? What's the point? Yada, 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 yada. That, again, is starting to develop a habit of not being a finisher. And then lastly, I'll say this. In many cases, we develop an I don't care attitude, which translates into a mindset, and then we take that attitude with us everywhere we go. In everything we do and everywhere we go, we take that I don't care attitude into every situation, into every circumstance, into everything that we do. And what happens is that we sabotage ourselves before we even begin. Does this sound familiar to you? It does to me, because I've been there.
Me too. Me too. Yep.
Probably more times than what I'd like to be, but I've been there. And I'm going to say this real quick, and I've been there more times than what I like. And I'll be really honest with you guys, because honesty is what we do here. And this honesty is the best policy, as they say, right? I've been there this past year. Let that sink in for a minute. I've been there this past year. And mind you, it's not because of the pandemic. And it's not because of anything the pandemic brought my way. It's just over time, when you're looking at situations and circumstances, we have a timeline in our head of when we want things to happen, how we want it to happen, where we want it to happen, with who we want it to happen with, et cetera, et cetera. And when that time frame exceeds our time frame, now we start questioning things. Now, let's be very clear. Questioning things is not the wrong thing to do. It's the attitude in which you question things and the attitude you take after you start questioning those things. Like saying to yourself, man, am I really built for this? Is this really who I am? Like, these questions are valid. Let's make no mistake. These questions are very valid. But if you continue to let those questions determine who you are, it will tear you down from the inside out. And if you don't have the right people around you to help get you out of that, you'll stay there much longer than what you wished or desired to or should be. Again, I've been there more times than what I like. Even in this past year, 2021, I've been there. And here's the thing, too, and I'm going to let O jump in if he wants to after this, is that it does not matter how successful you are. When you are trying to outdo what you've done before, or you're trying to climb a new mountain, conquer something new, there's going to be obstacles, intimidation, and things that happen to either block your progress or to get you to stop doing what you're doing. Everyone has or has had the lack of finishing in their lives. There are those who conquered it faster than others, and others who are still going through it, and then there's others, to be honest, may never actually conquer it. But what we're doing here today is we're giving you, some things that take us there. And then before we get done, we're going to give you guys some things you can take with you to get you out of it. Because why talk about it in the negative sense and not give you the positive outcomes and decisions you can make to get out of it? Just makes sense. Oh, you got anything?
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna say, man, I've been there too. And if you don't catch it, you'll keep each thing you get into, you'll not finish that, and you'll not finish this, and it's like it becomes a perpetual it's almost like a snowball effect, right? Mm-hmm. Before you know it, your snowballs, it started with this project, now it's this big because you got all these different things you didn't finish, then you quit one or you never look at the other one. And like I said, I'm sure that this topic we all can relate out there. We've all started stuff, we've all not finished it, we've even quit some things that we look back and go, man, we shouldn't have quit. We should have finished it through. At least, again, back to, I'll never forget my mom saying it, at least finish this season. Mm-hmm. We don't have to go back to it, but finish out the season. Yeah. You got to know what season we're in too. That's another topic.
And I do that with my children. When they say, I don't want to do this anymore, or mm-hmm. I don't like it anymore, I'm like, well, look, you started it, you got to finish it. Mm-hmm. I'm like, we are not a family that does not finish.
Right.
Right. Because now this is what, again, you develop a habit.
Yes.
Of not finishing when you start allowing your children, I'm just plugging this in, to not finish things.
Yep.
Finish that season. Finish that. Okay, it ends here. Once this ends and a new season starts, you don't have to go back to it. But you got to finish this season because you said you wanted to do it. You got to finish. So that's a great point too. Oh, that's a great point.
Yeah, man,
a huge role in their child's life and finishing. Mm-hmm. So take a pause right here. We're going to come back and we're going to talk and give you guys some solutions of how to be a finisher, become a finisher, or remain a finisher. All right, Frame of Mind Inc. podcast. Be right back. Are you looking for an apparel company that's positive, uplifting, and truly cares about you? Then look no further. Frame of Mind Inc., an apparel brand company, impresses on individuals to think positive thoughts, say positive things, and do positive deeds. Get positive apparel, such as t-shirts, hoodies, and wristbands for children, teens, and adults in various colors and sizes. Customized services include logo and t-shirt design, screen printing, and embroidery for individuals, families, schools, profit, and nonprofit organizations. You can reach Frame of Mind Inc. at 302-689-3499 or visit their website at www.frameofmindinc.com. Frame of Mind Inc. Think it, speak it, achieve it. It's a frame of mind. All right. Welcome back to the Frame of Mind Inc. podcast. Before we left, we were talking about being a finisher and talking about what obstacles and things happen in our lives that cause us not to finish. And a few of those things were, life happens. Life happens, child being born, someone passes away, sickness, opposition, intimidation, those things happen, but let's not develop a habit of not being a finisher because of circumstances or issues, situations. We talked about how in a race, there are car races where cars always finish the race. People who are in a foot race always finish the race no matter what place they're in. Again, unless someone gets seriously hurt or injured, they always finish because you develop a mindset and a habit of finishing, and it helps you to get better and become better at being a finisher and not being a quitter or one that does not finish. So we're going to actually give you guys some ways of how you can develop a habit of being a finisher as opposed to not being a finisher, or as I like to call it sometimes, AKA being a quitter. Okay. Now, we've had a podcast before that talked about quitting, and I'll plug this one little note in, is that quitting is and can be a good thing if you're quitting something that does not get you to your goal.
That's huge, brother.
I'll say it again for all the note takers.
That's
Quitting
huge.
can be a good thing. If you're quitting something that's not helping you to get to your goal, then yes, you should quit that or not finish it because it's not helping you get where you want to or should be. But if you know without a shadow of a doubt that what you're doing is what you should be doing, it's your calling, it's your purpose, it's what you love to do, it's like you should not quit that. You can stop, take a pause, regroup, but never not finish, never quit. So let's go through this real quick. So how to develop a habit of being a finisher. Now, these aren't, the 5 steps of it. This is just some things to help you, develop that. But trust me, these will help you become a finisher more than what you are currently finishing now. I strongly believe. Number 1, learn from your mistakes and life lessons. Learn from your mistakes and life lessons. And these are like the bullet points underneath. Take notes of what went wrong and what went right. Take notes of what went wrong and what went right. Bullet point number 2, know that it's a process. And probably the hardest thing is learning through a process. It's a process. It's not overnight. It's not something that's going to happen quicker than you think. And some things can and some things can't. But anything that's worth doing is going to be a process to get it done. Last bullet point for this, make sure your circle is full of positive-minded people. Again, we've talked about that already. Make sure your circle is full of positive-minded people. And not just your inner circle. Inner circle is highly important, but your outer circle needs to have the same kind of people surrounding you. They may not be the ones that have to make the decisions, the ones that help, that coach you, or the ones that mentor you, but those on the outside looking in who are helping you need to have that same mindset. Same mindset. Number 2, and if you want to jump in, just let me know. Number 2, talk to someone who's been there before. Talk to someone who's been there before. Preferably someone who's found success in conquering this. So, prime example, talking to someone who's been through this before, but has not conquered it or has success in it or is still either where you currently are or hasn't really been in a place you desire to be, you may not want to talk to that person. Because they really can't help you because either they're where you are or the success they've had has been very minimal. It's not really what you're looking to esteem for. But talk to someone who preferably has had success in conquering this and can give you some principles or some bullet points, as we're giving you, to be a finisher. Number 3, don't just hear what they're saying, but listen to them. I'm going to break that down real quick. There is a difference between hearing and listening. Hearing means you are aware of the sound being made, but you aren't really paying attention. So you're aware of the sound, but you're not paying attention at all to any details. Like it's not retained. Listening is when you're not just aware of the sound being made, but you're attentive and prevalent of the specifics of the particular sound being made. Which means now you're getting details. You're getting down not just the sound, but you're trying to really hone in on what's being said or what sound is being made. For example, a song. If all you remember from a song is the beat, you were hearing the song. If you remember the lyrics to the song, now you're listening. I'll say it again. If all you remember from a song,
yeah,
not the melody, not the harmony, not the music in general. You just remember the beat, just the drum track. You're hearing. But if you remember the lyrics, you are listening. Go ahead, O.
No, man, that point is good, man. That hearing and listening, you're hearing just the sound and listening. You're able to hear the lyrics. That's a great point, man. We got to start listening, not just hearing. It's like you ever see Charlie Brown where it's like wah 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 wah. That's a lot of us. I've been there before, thinking I know everything. Somebody trying to tell me something, and they can actually give me the key, like, or the nugget that they're about to give me will help me push on and not quit. But here I go, thinking I know everything, not listening, getting the wall. I'm just hearing, right? Then I come to that obstacle they tried to prevent me from. And now I'm thinking about quitting. You know what I'm saying? So yes, we need to be here or listeners.
Yes, sir. Need to be listeners.
Yes, sir.
Number 4, take notes on the conversation you have with that person. Take notes on the person you are having a conversation with. Bullet point. We remember most of what we see and hear by writing things down and going back to them. Notice I said writing them down and going back to them. Because you can write stuff down. If you never go back to it when you're going through, what's the point? Like that's your tool belt right there. Go back to it. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's gonna hurt because you know what you're looking at is telling you what to do and how to do, and it's going to help you. But you're so upset at the moment, you really don't want to read what's going to help you.
Mm-hmm.
And that right there that goes a long way for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so don't just write it down. Writing it down is great, but also go back to it. So take note on the conversation you're having with that person who's helping you out. Number 5, last one. And again, these aren't the top 5 things to do to be a finisher. This is what we're giving you guys today to begin to implement being a finisher. Implement and apply the information you've received. Implement and apply the information you've received. Bullet point. Note takers are knowledge seekers. Next bullet point. Action takers are progress seekers. Last bullet point. Ultimately, those who are note takers and action takers are finishers. Ultimately, those who are both note takers and action takers are finishers because they implement and apply. It doesn't make sense to do the first 4 things and not do the 5th thing, which is implement and apply. You have to apply what it is you've been taught and what you've learned. Anybody who is somebody who has gone to school for education will tell you need to implement and apply. Mm-hmm. Anyone who's gone to a mindset conference or any conference, period, or gone somewhere where they had to learn something, if you don't implement and apply, stuff just sits there. And you're going to say, oh, this stuff don't work. You're not applying it. It ain't going to come out of thin air and just smack you in the face and say, hey, I work. How? You have to put the work in. It's that simple. Last 2 things and we'll be done.
Let me add one more point. To something you could do. So how to develop a habit of being a finisher as opposed to not being or being a quitter, right?
Yeah, you got it.
So we gotta. So if we're finding if you're listening to this and you're finding yourself that you quit a lot of things and you don't finish a lot of things, I think we need to. And there's one more bullet point or another point. We need to reevaluate our starts. Okay. And what I mean by that is if you look back over all the things you quit, were the things that you started because you wanted to do it, or was somebody telling you were supposed to do it? If you're not involved in that start, yes, it becomes easy to quit it, because why? You get in the middle of the trenches, and this wasn't what was with as my man says, Elohim. This is what Elohim has not had for you. You're doing somebody else's vision for your life. So our start's got to change. We got to be a part of our start, not somebody else's start for us. That's my point, brother.
That's good.
Yeah.
That is good. I'm not even going to elaborate on that. I'm going to let that sink in right there. Let it sink in right there.
Yeah.
Reevaluate your start.
Yeah.
Man. Good stuff right there. All right, last few things here before we end out. So you guys know me and O, we are believers in Elohim, the Almighty. So I'm implement some scripture in here, and this may or may not be for you, but you know what? It's okay. It's gonna be all right. So in the scriptures, there are a number of people who couldn't move on to the next thing until they finished the first thing. So just a few examples. So Noah had to finish the ark before any human or any animal could get into it before the great flood. He had to finish it first. Before anything else could happen, he had to finish the ark, period. Moses had to wait until the Almighty finished writing the Ten Commandments before he could present it to the people. He could not present it to the people until the Almighty was done writing the scripts. He had to wait. David couldn't be considered the greatest champion possibly, other than Samson, the greatest champion, until he defeated Goliath. He had to finish and defeat Goliath first before we could say for generations to come how David was one of the greatest champions of all time. Jonah couldn't move on with his life until he went to Nineveh to present the word that Elohim told him to present to them. He tried to go everywhere else but Nineveh. Everywhere else. And he couldn't move on until he went and did the one thing he told him to do. You got to finish this first. And then after that, I'll leave you alone. But you got to finish this first. Last two, and I'm going to get you guys. Well, I'll give you one more than the last two. So, even the Messiah, Yahusha, also known as Jesus, couldn't come on the scene until John the Baptist had finished his ministry. He had to wait for John the Baptist to finish before he came on the scene. Now, the last two examples, I believe, are the most important for all of us to recognize and see. Number one, the Creator, Elohim, Yahuwah the Father, created the entire world in 6 days. 6 days straight, he created. 7th day, he rested. He finished. Before he rested, he finished. He finished. Last one. And I'll give you a little scripture. So the heavens and the earth were completed. We said finished means what? To bring to completion. So the heavens and the earth were completed and all their inhabitants. And by the 7th day, Elohim completed his work, which he had done. Notice that completed is in there twice. He completed his work. That's Genesis chapter 2, verse 1 and 2. Last one. The Messiah taking his last breath on the cross and uttering the famous words we hear, "It is finished."
That's good.
To completion.
That's good.
That's John 19:30. So we have the Father and the Son giving us examples of what? Finishing. Plain and simple. Anything else you got before we go?
Oh man, that's good stuff, brother. Finishing it out with the Father and the Son. That's good stuff, man. We gotta again. I'll finish it with this, man. We do have to learn. Like I said, I said that point before. We gotta like all those guys we just mentioned, from Jonah to Noah to Moses. They accepted their start. They didn't want it at first, but they finally came to the realization. Okay, this is my start, and it's what Elohim has for me. It wasn't another person saying, Moses, you got to save your people. It wasn't a friend, wasn't even a family member. It was Elohim himself. So we got to get in touch with what Elohim has for us, and that'll help us to get our starts right so we can finish right.
I like that. You know what? I'm actually, as I'm sitting here, I'm thinking we probably need to do a podcast on reevaluating your start.
Reevaluating
your start.
Yeah.
I think that's a very key point that you brought up, and that was awesome. That was awesome. So next week, guys, we're going to be getting back to our stock, trade, and investment podcast. So my man O will be dropping knowledge again on our stock, trade, and investment podcast. That's next Wednesday live here with us. Those of you who are getting the replays, audio-wise or video-wise, just make sure you look out for when we're going to post those. And I think we're done. I think we had a great podcast today. I think we have a great podcast all the time. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We are into our third season already with this podcast, which is amazing that we're already in season 3. And here's the thing. I'm going to be honest here. This is actually one of the few things that I've started and have been consistent in over the years. There are others, but they're few. And so I am continuing to learn to be a finisher. One more nugget. I'm currently writing a book right now. And I actually started the book in 2015. And you know what happened? I got distracted. Life happened. Things happened. I started questioning myself about things. But you know what got me back on getting that book done? Because the book was almost done, literally, in between 2015 and 2017. Book was just about done. And I was getting towards the end. And life happened. And like we said, life happens. It's life happens. Just that plain and simple. But then I started allowing other things to happen that were within my control other than the life happenings. And so what made me get back on it was that I started to reevaluate my start. I started looking at things and saying, is this really who I am? Or is this really who I am? Or should I say, I was passionate about that then. Am I passionate about that now? And I had to reevaluate, okay, what gifts and talents has Elohim given me to help people and to bless people? And the first thing that came to mind, I believe he said this, is that you need to go finish that book. It's been sitting there waiting for you. What are you waiting for? Go finish the book. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you today, the book will be complete next week. Because I said, okay, I got to finish this before I move on to the next thing. I got to finish. Be a finisher. Thanks so much, guys, for joining the Frame of Mind Inc. podcast today. As always, continue to think it, speak it, and achieve it. And as always, until next time, I holla. Thank you for joining the Frame of Mind Inc. podcast. And as always, here at Frame of Mind Inc., think positive thoughts, say positive things, and do positive deeds. As our tagline says, think it, speak it, achieve it. See you next time.
It's a frame of mind. It's what you say and what you do.
Don't forget to check us out on the web at www.frameofmindinc.com, where you can browse our online apparel store, listen to some of our original music and production services, as well as view our videos and projects we've done for our clients and customers.